Hey,
So
what's going on there? It is time for another episode of this podcast. On our play for this week, former Blizzard dev believes we should tip at the end of single player games.
suck a whole bag of
Basically, Xbox is full steam ahead on a new console. But wait, I thought they didn't believe in console generations. Just a lot of confusion happening today. Star Wars outlawed Jabba the Hunt for those who aren't dropping extra cash. All this and more on season 8, episode 15 of Press X Start Gamers Digest. Let's add an extra syllable in there. Ugh.
Oop, oop.
Yeah, right. What's up, everyone? I'm your host, DJ, aka Sexy Bad Choices, aka Did you see the whole Drake diss? Oh my gosh. Computers nowadays, you know what I mean? I am joined by,
Sean MF Ross.
what does the MF stand for?
Non-light skin behavior.
Oh, I like that. I like that. That's essentially the behavior of everyone else in the world. All right, now I know who we are. Press X Start Gamers Digest is a video podcast that condenses the most important gaming news from this past week into an hour-long meal just for you. We are live on YouTube every Sunday when we can make it because life is hard.
It's nighttime right
looking
now.
at it. It really though. So last week, I had said because life is hard, and Sean, you jumped in and said, but listening to us is easy. So we're gonna do that from now on because that was a really good catchphrase. Don't forget, you can support us by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and hit the notification bell. If you are listening, we greatly appreciate you leaving us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, your cell phone, anywhere, any of the podcast services you are using or you're currently tuned in on. If you want, you can join our conversation.
Podcast tag.
Say what?
Like, damn, son, where'd you find
All
this?
right.
We need some shit like that. Real trap shit. We need some podcasts. Yeah.
I like that. Marcus, do your thing. Yes, if you want to join our conversation, you can join our conversations by joining our Discord at pressx2start.com/Discord. Just it's pressx number 2 start.com/Discord. It's right there. It's so easy to do. You just type in your little keypad. Boom. Anyways, now that's that done, and you got that done, and we have everything else done. Let's jump into the gaming news. Number 1. Former Blizzard president thinks you should be able to leave a tip after beating $70 games. But my 10 years in the hospitality industry knows that's an awful idea. This comes to us from VG247 by way of Winston Kunchi. I think that's right.
That's like, I guess, the next logical step after microtransactions. And some people will tip, unfortunately. And
Of course.
yeah. I don't know what to take from this. I just
man. Like we can really just jump into the conversation because that title pretty much describes it. Mike Ibarra is a former Blizzard dev, and he made this Twitter post about how this is a Twitter post. I thought, wait a minute, yes, I've thought about this idea for a while as a player since I've been diving into single player games lately. When I beat a game, when there are some that just leaves me in awe of how amazing the experience was. At the end of the game, I've often thought I wish I could just give the folks another $10 or $20 because it was worth more than my initial $70 and they didn't try to nickel and dime me every second. And it's like, go ahead, John.
Your tip is word of mouth, telling other people about the game so they go buy it too. Leaving good reviews. We have OpenCritic, we have Metacritic, we have Reddit, we got YouTube reviews. Like, that's your tip. Word of mouth when you have an actual good game and other people go buy it. Look at Helldivers. Look at the Yakuza series. They said that they never expect a large number of sales initially. Infinite Wealth was an outlier. They say their games have a long tail, basically, where it gets word of mouth, and that's how they've been able to continue making games in the same universe for the past 20 years. Your tip is go wash your hands and wipe your nose and wash your ass. Like, what
And
tip?
play some more video
Kiss
games.
my ass. You want a tip? Don't, man. Next, they're really gonna be putting goddamn ads in the middle of games and having you drink verification cans, sir.
Bro.
I wish I could. I'll smear shit on his windows. I swear to God. Like, don't-
You point me to his card, I'll do it.
man, this
Man,
is a
yeah.
bad idea.
Oh my god. Like this is such a just it's one of those things where yeah, he's he's a higher up dev and it's just like, yeah,
You're
of
so
course
out
he
of
would say
touch.
something like this. Yeah, you're out of touch. Like you have no idea like the industry that you lead people in to think like, oh yeah, we should tip these people. No, you should balance your budgets better. You should pay your employees better. Like you want extra money from us? Like you already increased the prices of games from $60 to $70. And then you're also adding in things like season pass, you're adding in different microtransactions. Yes, he mentioned that games are nickel and diming you, but I feel like that statement is usually akin to microtransactions and not necessarily season passes. So it's like there's other ways of getting money out of us. And it's just like, no, this is a half-baked idea where he thought, you know what? I'm gonna drop this. I'm gonna drop this right now. I think I'm on some fire right now. And it's like, no, sir.
He thought he was spitting.
Exactly. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. And again, like this article points to the hospitality industry where tipping is a big thing, and tipping is used to offset the workers who aren't getting paid enough. And it's like you don't you don't want to you don't want to make a parallel between the games industry and the hospitality industry because that's just not good for anyone. Like devs already have it hard enough when we're dealing with massive amounts of layoffs and then them not getting paid or not even being treated properly. It's just like
Mhm.
no, like you're just making them even closer to a waiter or a waitress now by adding tips. Oh my gosh, just terrible,
Yeah.
sir. Eat a Snickers bar or something. You need to figure yourself out. Um, yeah, there's nothing else to say about that. Number two, Xbox moving full speed ahead on next gen console. This comes to us from IGN by way of. Oh, I got a little burpee.
Baby
It'll
need a
come
nap.
out. Yes. But wait, where is this? Who? Okay, Ryan Dinsdale by way of Ryan Dinsdale.
From
So
the Dimmadome? Dimsdale?
yes,
Oh, okay.
that one in particular. So the email obtained by Windows Central and verified by genuine, no, were verified to be genuine by Microsoft, also announced the formation of a game preservation team at Xbox.
Hmm.
This is a quote. We are moving full speed ahead on our next generation hardware, focused on delivering the biggest technological leap ever in a generation, Sarah Bond said, reiterating comments made in February when the console's existence was officially announced. So this is just continuing the conversation from their Xbox update meeting when in that same meeting they had talked about how they are moving 4 games that are exclusive to Xbox to other platforms. Later we found out PlayStation platforms. So they're moving Grounded, Sea of Thieves,
Mhm.
Pentiment, and there was another game that I do not remember.
Mm,
Yeah, don't remember. But yes, they moved these games over to Hi-Fi Rush. So
uh-huh.
they moved those games over to the other platforms to boost the sales of those games. And that was something that Phil Spencer talked about in the past that might be a thing that they do because they're not worried about it like tying these games to the Xbox platform
I'm curious to see
forever.
the numbers of sales on PlayStation versus how many people played it for free on Xbox and the actual playthrough data. Because, yes, you can have 10 million people playing a game like Starfield, but then data showed that I want to say more than half didn't even get past the first mission. So,
Yep. Yep. That's the thing. Like,
when you tend to spend money on things, you tend to value it a little bit more.
exactly, exactly. Like if you drop the money for this thing, that means that there is some type of value to it. That means that you have to commit yourself at least, you know, some hours to the game to play it. And then sometimes you might really enjoy the experience, sometimes you might not, but at least you have to put in that time to get your quote unquote value out of it.
Yeah.
So to have Game Pass where you can just jump in and jump out of games, it's like the
When do you
minute you
finish
hit
a game?
yeah, or like the minute you hit like a roadblock, you're like, all right, I'm done. Let me jump to something else. And it's just like, yeah, you played that game technically, but you're never coming back to that game. So it's
Um,
like the developers really just aren't getting anything out of you from that.
so what I find interesting, what they pointed out in the article is, they're working on a game preservation team,
Hmm.
but ironically, this current generation of games may be at risk due to online requirements. We have a shit ton of live service games
Yep.
this
Yep.
generation
Yep.
comparatively, because this is the new hotness.
Yep. We're gonna hit a major turbulent cycle in about like probably like 5 years when a lot of these games that we value now we want to return to, but there's no active servers. Like,
Yeah.
and the developers don't, or the publishers, they don't want to pay the money to keep those servers running. So it's just like, oh, well, how do I access this game now? It, Microsoft doing this preservation thing is awesome, but I also, you know, we don't know how exactly that's going to work for these online games. So it's just like, all right, cool. We'll see what it comes out to when you
Mm,
guys have something to show.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, just to get back to this next gen console thing, I wish us can go back to
Mm.
like 2022 or something when no,
2020
maybe 2020, 2020 or
when they came
2021
out.
when yeah, when Phil was really talking about how Game Pass is the future and how like Phil or Jim Ryan is about um believing in generations and how Xbox doesn't really necessarily feel that way and that they want their games to be played on everything. And now we have a situation where they have to make a next generation console because they've technically lost this console generation and based off how the market works, you have to put out a new console to get people to pay into your ecosystem.
I mean, yeah, they probably still believe that the Game Pass is the future, but our
Mhm.
infrastructure just isn't there, so it doesn't matter what they believe when you still got latency and all that. It's
Yeah.
just not there.
Yeah.
You
Like
can't sell to as many people as you would like.
yeah. And I totally agree. Like I definitely believe that they are going to continue Game Pass going forward into this next generation console. I just wonder if Series S is going to be fully supported, like how because technically Series S would be in the spot of the Xbox One, right? Xbox
Mm.
One. Yeah. And that's not really supported anymore. So it's kind of like where do they do they still make uh do they still make a version of these games for the Series S or they just be like, okay, look, we can't do Series S anymore because it's actually hampering the development time. It's hampering the graphics and all that stuff for this current or this next generation console.
No, uh, Microsoft hamstring them. I mean, you can support it, but it's just not gonna have parity. It's gonna be like
Yeah,
low res settings or whatever
yeah,
on PC.
yeah. I mean,
And
because like, okay,
no, it's just gonna lead to more fucking development time.
yeah. because like look at right now, like we have examples of games having to, forego running at 60 frames or requiring more development time to figure out a way of condensing the game for the Series S. So it's like to have a even higher power SKU on top of that is just like
Yeah.
this is going to be crazy. It's just going to be crazy. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, because I was listening to a podcast and they got really really into like the technical weeds of the possibility of Xbox moving to the ARM processor versus the
Yeah.
x86 processor, and that could actually be what they're hinting at when they're saying that this next generation is going to be the highest, or the, I don't know, the
I,
biggest leap forward or whatever.
I know some of those words.
Yeah, right. Right. So yeah, I'm gonna make this real quick because even I was like barely hanging on to the conversation. So essentially, the ARM processor is potentially what Xbox might be researching into, and the ARM processor is essentially like the mobile processor. So it's like the
Hmm.
processors that's in your phones or in the phones.
Yeah.
The thing is that they are coded differently and they don't really work with the x86 processors, which are the computer processors. The benefits to the ARM processors is that they are really really efficient, and they don't run hot, and you're able to do a lot of stuff with that. So like the MacBook Pros, I believe the M1 chips are ARM processors, and like they are really really good. Like they do really well with games.
I mean,
And
that's because that's a closed ecosystem. I mean, I guess that could work since console.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I guess whatever.
so, and the like the interesting thing about this is that if they switch over to the ARM processor,
Hmm.
then they technically would be able to make a console that could essentially have like a Switch component, like a mobile
Yeah.
component to it.
Hmm.
And like if they're able to put that all together and then give that as a package, like that essentially would be like a huge leap forward, because we would have like 4K graphics, but then also able to carry it with you in a mobile capacity. So it would be like the love child of the Switch and the PlayStation 5, essentially. So that would be cool if they could figure it out, but they got to figure it out. And we don't know how that goes. So yeah, we'll see what happens, because the future's the future. This next generation console is supposed to come out like 2028. So we got a lot of time to just speculate and just see what happens. Number 3, Star Wars Outlaw puts Jabba mission behind the paywall. This comes to us from the gamer by way of Rihanna. No, no, yeah, no, Ryan, Bevan.
Let me see what name you
Hopefully,
fucking up.
yeah,
Rhiannon.
boy, I am.
Rhiannon.
Yeah, right, Rhiannon.
Rhiannon Bevan. That's a Fleetwood Mac song. Go listen to it, Simon.
Yeah, so as the title suggests, they are locking the Jabba the Hutt mission behind a paywall. So
Wonderful.
yes, last week in the podcast we talked about how there's going to be a Star Wars Outlaws story trailer drop next week. So next week was this past week that just passed. So now we got this trailer. We can talk about this whole debacle happening while we're watching the trailer. Wait a minute. Boom. And boom. So yes. Um in the trailer itself, you get an idea of what's gonna happen for the story, because it's a story trailer, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
It looks I'm kind of up and down about how this trailer looks. I think there are parts of it that look really really impressive, and there are parts that look not so impressive. So this game is being worked on by I think it's Massive, the same people who did The Division. So I am not really worried about the actual gameplay mechanics, because it, based
Mhm.
off of the trailer we saw previously, seems like it's going to follow the same structure in terms of cover based shooting and all that stuff. So the gameplay is going to be great. This is Star Wars. This is the time period. I don't fucking know the time period, guys. I loosely follow Star Wars, but like there, the hope is that there won't really be too much, if any, Jedi in this,
I think this is
because
after Picard takes over the Voyager, right?
yes, I think you know what? I think you're right. I think that's exactly. Yeah, yeah, I think yeah. Yes. Yes, I think you're right. Yes.
Yeah, I think
Um
call. I never know how to pronounce that shit.
there's someone really mad right now. It's just hey, if you're mad, do us a solid. Let us know exactly when the time period is in the comments. So yeah. Um yeah, so that's that. This actual article now. So when we got this trailer, it was also noted that there is a season pass to this. And we
Oh
find
boy.
out that, yeah, in the season pass, there is a mission called Jabba's Gambit. And that mission is only available if you buy the season pass. And that's where all this comes from. The season pass itself, you can get two versions of it. The first version is $109, and the second version is $130. So, yeah, that sucks. For those people who only want to spend $70, but now you're locked out of the mission. The other side to that is that you you really, I guess for me, I think, okay, well, whatever this mission is, it's not going to mean anything because
Yeah, it
they
can't be
have to,
canon. So I mean, it's just for the super fans.
yeah. So it's like, where is the actual win here? Because you're going to have a mission that won't amount to much. I mean, it might amount to like some kind of like Easter egg thing for those people who spend the money. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's like, well, if it's not going to mean anything to the overall story, then it's just like, what is the point? What is the point of this? And that part, that just sucks. That just sucks. Um, but yeah, other than that, I think the game looks pretty interesting. There also was some talks about this game in terms of how they are breaking away from the uh, general Ubisoft open worldness, like their
So like,
structure that they have.
yeah.
Yeah, right. So in this, you're not going to be climbing towers to unlocking areas. It's more so just exploring to unlock an area. So that part's cool. But they didn't say anything about the whole collectathon thing. So we'll see what happens. So yeah, that's that. Are you interested or excited for Star Wars Outlaw?
Um. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna play that.
Yeah. Yeah, like I'm pretty interested in it. I just yeah, go ahead. You're good. Yeah. I'm pretty interested in Star Wars Outlaws. It's just I have my reservations because this is a Ubisoft game and I'm not in the point of my life where I can sit and enjoy an Ubisoft game because it's just bloated for the sake of being bloated and that doesn't appeal to me. So we'll see. I'm definitely keeping my eye on this, and I believe the game is coming out in August. I can do better than August. Come on now. I'm supposed to be a podcaster. Guess what? I guess I'm just not a good podcaster because I don't know when in August this game is coming out. Yeah, it's coming out in August, guys. So get yourself some Outlaws. Before we get into the 9 biggest announcements at the Triple I Initiative Showcase, hey, you listener, are you enjoying this conversation? Well, good. Do us a solid. Comment on the video in the comments. Yeah. But yeah,
Is that
after
Shatner?
you say what?
Is that you doing Shatner?
Right. I gave it my all. Yes, like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. Also, if you are listening and you are not in the space to comment on this video, leave us a review. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, your sock, anywhere. Just leave us a review. Let us know. Take a picture. You know what? Maybe not the picture part. Maybe not the part. So yeah, thanks. And again, if you want to join our conversations, you can join our Discord at pressx.com/Discord. Cool. All right. Number 4. 9 of the biggest announcements from the Triple I Initiative Showcase. This comes to us from Polygon. We won't spend too long on this. We're just going to go through these real quick. So there was over 30 indie games shown here. There was some rumors / hopes that we were going to get Hollow Knight here. No,
Nice.
no, guys. Hollow Knight is way too big for this. But what we did get was a couple of really cool announcements. The first one here is Slay the Spire 2 reveal. Sean, Slay the Spire was your game, right?
Yeah. So allegedly this game is set 100 years after the events of the first one. But it's coming out.
What were the events of the first one?
I don't know. I didn't finish
Okay.
it. So it has like, I want to say 3 characters plus 1 unlockable one.
Mhm.
And after you beat it with each character, you unlock like the mega boss, and I just can't beat him. Because you're supposed to make like certain builds if anybody plays like card games, trading card games, whatever, And I'm not good at that. I am fully
I got you.
offensive, and you're supposed to
Yeah.
be buffing and debuffing and playing defense, and I'm having fun with it though, but I ain't beat
Yeah.
the final mega boss, so it is what
Okay.
it is.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's cool. I played a little bit of Slay the Spire, and like I thought it was cool. I just wasn't in a space to really dedicate a lot of time to it. So I was just like, I'll put this down. I just never went back to it. But yeah, like
It's a nice game to play if you don't have a lot of time to play a game, just because you can
yeah,
move through a few levels and you can save at any time in the game
yeah,
and just come right back and load it up. So that's what I like about it. That and any roguelike game, it is a roguelike game, but a card game.
Okay. And then at the end, the trailer says it's going to be in early access of 2025. So next year, sometime next year.
But that's gonna be on Steam because they don't do early access on consoles. So
That's a good point.
this shit probably ain't gonna come to consoles until like 26, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
I don't have a gaming PC.
Yeah. All right. So the next couple of games we have Risk of Rain 2. They're getting a free update.
Cool.
We got so what?
I said that's cool.
Yeah. Like these are all really like cool announcements. We got Dino Lords. This looked pretty interesting. I'm not gonna play a trailer for it, but yeah, like here's the thing, right? If you are into indies, you've already watched this. You've already watched this whole showcase, and you have an idea of like when these games are coming out. You probably even got some on your wish list, so that's cool. Then we got Vampire Survivors. They're getting Contra DLC, which I found a little weird, but I was like, hey,
I am just surprised at the level of support this game has gotten.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's free on mobile. Just try it out, man.
Yeah. It is like I would really. Oh, it's also coming to PS5. There was a pretty cool reveal trailer where at the start of the trailer they had Greg Miller from Kind of Funny slash IGN back in his younger days talking about how he wants Vampire Survivors to come to PlayStation 5, and they're like, we're doing it. We're bringing it to PS5. And I feel like Vampire Survivors.
I want to play that on PS5 though. Like,
but hey, Sean, you led me to the light. That game would be great on the Portal.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
You're right.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's on mobile, so
yeah. Well,
and it's
my
free.
issue. That's a good point. See, my issue is that because I was just using I was using the touch screen. I was just like, my giant thumb is in the way. I can't even see my person.
Big ass.
So I know.
But no,
I
you're right.
yeah, I feel like though, if does Backbone work for it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that would
Yeah,
probably
that's the
just
only way
be
I play it.
the easy
Oh
way.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that would be the ideal way of playing that game. The next game, Never Alone 2. I didn't know who was alone in the first one. But yeah, the art style in here looks pretty interesting. I would check it out if you are interested. Darkest Dungeon 2 is getting a free game mode. I don't know what that means. I saw a couple of things from Darkest Dungeon 1. I was like, "Oh, that's really interesting." I thought the art style was really interesting, but it didn't it didn't appeal to me any further than that. Then we got Power has teased their arena mode, which is cool. When Power first dropped, they did mention that they were working on an arena mode where you can battle each other. So it's cool that they're teasing that. So I guess it's gonna be coming soon. Hopefully, not that far away, but we'll see. And then we have the Cataclysmo announcement. Did I get that right? I don't know, man. Um, Another trailer looked interesting. And then the last thing we got was the Rogue Prince of Persia announced from the Dead Cells team. We talked about the rumors of that last week, and it was a surprise for everyone to see that that dropped the following week at this showcase.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna play the trailer. Give me one moment.
El momento.
Yeah. Um, did you watch the trailer, right?
For which game again?
The Rogue Prince of Persia. Or have you seen anything
Yeah.
on it?
Why are all the Africans blurple?
That was the first thing I was like, oh, purple's an interesting color.
We don't want to make them
What?
black to divide our audience too much. Let's make them purple. Like, all right, that's a thing.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, yeah. So the prince in this game is purple, along with all the other dark skinned characters are mostly purple in this game. Um, so this is made by the Dead Cell devs. The art style has been the talk of a lot of people in terms of either liking it or not liking it. I think it looks really interesting. It is a very simple line art style with a lot of vibrant colors. It looks cool.
I feel like I just
I've
saw some brown people running past him though. They just really
Oh, I
was like,
missed
we're
it.
not gonna make people brown in the desert.
Yo,
Uh,
shout out to making it purple with blue eyes. Like, what?
I mean, nah, fuck it. I don't know. I don't have any. I don't have any.
there's only there's only one way to get blue eyes.
I mean, they got black people with blue eyes, but
I mean, that's true. That's true. I mean, they're usually like the Oracle, or they've gone through some process of uh yeah, okay. So in the trailer, they show gameplay of this, and if you remember Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, this looks kind of like that in that it is a side scroller, but that's where this stops, where there's a lot more, not a lot more. There's a lot of things happening in this game, but it's happening in a different way compared to uh The Lost Crown. And
you wanna
oh,
know
so
what's
it's gonna
funny?
be go ahead.
They
Oh wait,
have
let me finish
diversity in this game because there are light skinned purple people and dark skinned purple people. But fuck it, we can't have brown people in the desert.
Right. They were like, no, they'll get it. They'll get it. They'll understand. So yeah, this is going to be Steam early access May 14th. So that's cool. So yeah, the cool thing about this game that a lot of people have been talking about is the wall running mechanic, where it's not just a quick left to right kind of thing. Like you can kind of go up and you can slide down. So it's going to be allow you to have a bit more movement on the wall, which is cool. And then in the trailer, at the end of the trailer, you see he dies essentially because he got poked with a bunch of arrows on his back, and then he comes
Oh,
back and just does it again. You know,
okay. Okay. PG,
So,
PG podcast. They got folks.
right? He'll be okay. So yeah, that's the Rogue Prince of Persia. Me personally, this is not really my bag. I think I am gonna give Tales Zao,
Sure, man.
the African style side
Okay.
scroller game that's coming out in April. I'm gonna give that a shot. I don't know. Why can't I think of that name? The name of the game. Uh Zao
Yeah,
Tales?
that's what you're gonna go into GameStop and ask for.
Right?
Can I pre-order that African game?
Right? They're gonna be like, sir. Oh, Tales of Kanzaria. There you go. Yes. Yes, that game. Tales of Kanzaria, Zao. ZAU. If you haven't looked that up, check it out. That's really cool. Like, it's literally the first big African inspired game that's been on screens. It's not like an indie thing. Well, it is an indie thing, but like a really, really, really indie thing. Anyways, that's cool. Also to Slay the Spire, I forgot to mention this. They are ditching Unity for open source engine Godot after over 2 years
Niggas
of development.
Godot.
Godot? Oh,
Okay,
like
whatever. I don't know.
the
Yeah, like
lady's
Gal
last name.
Godot. Gal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, cool. So yeah, the reason why we're switching Unity because if you remember last year we talked about how Unity is just terrible, and some developers unfortunately have been working for Unity for with a has been working with
Using
Unity.
Unity engine for a while, but they done turncoat on them, so they said F it.
Exactly what Sean said.
They
So
lost
yeah,
trust in the community after that shit they pulled.
yeah,
If you don't remember what shit they pulled, they basically updated their terms of service to say that they were going to charge developers per install for the games, even if it was a free to play game, if I
hmm
remember correctly.
terrible, terrible. All right, so number 5. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth underperforming, says industry analyst. This comes to us from Eurogamer.net by way of Vicky Blake. So, this is coming to us by way of like a Twitter post, or
Mm-hmm.
however you describe that, from Ahmad, who is the director of research and insights at Nico Partners. And he starts by saying, not to be that guy. Well, he's actually responding to another tweet. And he starts off by saying, not to be that guy, but Rebirth is underperforming sales wise. And then when he was asked to justify his statement, he says it's selling about half of what Remake sold in the same time frame, and it looks like it will have a weaker tail prior to any PS Plus like release. So, and then when the person asks, like, okay, well, what are your sources for this? He confirms that the sales data comes from Equities Research Reports,
The
who are
usual
getting the
places.
data, the usual trackers and stuff. So the information seems legit, and it's one of those things where it's like that that sucks, but it's not super surprising in that, like, there's a couple of angles that are unfortunately harming the sales of Rebirth, in that
Mm-hmm.
this is a sequel to a trilogy, and oftentimes that middle portion is just like, we all
Nah,
understand, like,
yeah.
they can't do too much crazy stuff here because we got to get to the third one. Third one's going to be the big thing. And then you have things like the fact that Baldur's Gate 3 released yesterday, and it literally changed the realm of what RPGs
Quote unquote
are.
yesterday.
Yesterday. Yeah. And like, yeah, and it's just like, Baldur's Gate 3, we're going to talk about it later on. Like, they've won so many awards for that game. Like, it was the game of the year last year, and it's definitely going to be in running for one of the games of the generation. And it's just like, it's hard to release another giant RPG behind that, especially when it comes to Final Fantasy 7, in that, Final Fantasy 7 is a big thing, but it's not an innovative RPG.
I wonder what the numbers are for RPGs released in 2024, like Infinite Wealth compared to Final Fantasy. because they
Yep.
said the sales for Infinite Wealth were unprecedented compared to past Yakuza games. And like you said, people may be Final Fantasy out. They're looking for a new style of RPG. Baldur's Gate is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like a Dragon is one of them, where it's set in a more
Mm-hmm.
modern setting with more wacky scenarios. Like,
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like I will say that even with my little time of playing um Yakuza Like a Dragon,
yeah,
there was a lot of surprising story beats in that was just way more interesting to me than me when I was playing Remake. And it's just like it's one of those things
also,
where good.
Remake was on the PS4, and as silly as that sounds, that still had a ridiculous install base compared
Yep.
to the PS5.
Yep, that's a big thing. Like it came out on the PS4 at the tail end of the PS4's generation, so that had the most amount of people on the console as possible at the time. Whereas like it dropping on PS5, like 21 million consoles or something like that. Like you
Yeah,
know that's what you're working with versus the 100 or close to 100 million
however much.
PS4s out there.
Yeah,
Yeah, so like that's also too. And then you also have to account that when Remake came out, that was April of 2020, which was in the pandemic. Everybody was inside. No, wait, was that in 2020? No.
yeah,
Wow. That
yeah,
was in 2020.
yeah.
Whoa.
Square just always has unrealistic expectations for their games.
That too. That too. Yeah. So
Let me see. PS5 number of units sold close to 50 million,
50
48
million.
million.
Okay.
PS4 number of units are sold 117 million. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. So it is a thing of like, oh, I think 21 million is Xbox consoles or something like that. But yeah,
nobody
it is a
asked
thing
them.
of
Shut up. Sorry.
yeah, but it's a thing of just like it's just Rebirth is doing the best it can right now. Like it's underperforming, but again, it's Final Fantasy VII, so like so yeah, it'll be okay. Like we're gonna get we're gonna get the end of the trilogy. There's
Yeah.
no yeah, like Square is not gonna withhold that. Speaking of that, number 6, louder for the shareholders in the back. Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth producer says part 3 may be finished within just 3 years because the dev team hasn't been split up. This comes to us from Games Radar. Wait a minute. Yes, Games Radar by way of Catherine Lewis. So essentially, what they're saying is that part 3 could be made very quote unquote quickly as
Hmm.
long as the team stays together. And that has been really and truly the one thing that has hurt this industry so much is that the layoffs have such a knock-on effect in terms of
Morale and losing talent and just everything.
yes. Yeah, and then like you're losing that team experience. You're losing the individual experience. Like you have to bring someone in and then like retrain them if you bring someone in. And it's just as basically what Nomura is saying is that like as long as this team stays together, we can knock out Final Fantasy VII, the end. Uh, I don't read whatever the last R is going to be for this. We can knock it out in under 3 years. And I really, really hope Square Enix listens to this and don't pull some BS and just be like, all right, let's switch up the teams. Come whatever. So
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Number 7, Baldur's Gate 3 passes Elden Ring and Breath of the Wild to become the first game to win all 5 major Game of the Year awards. Baldur's Gate 3. Oh, this comes to us from Games Radar by way of give me 1 second. Concerin. So Baldur's Gate 3 has now won the Game Awards trophy, or equivalent at the Golden Joystick Awards, BAFTAs, Game Developers Choice, DICE, and the Game Awards. The first game to sweep the biggest awards of all 5 shows since the TGA's inception a decade ago. So that's amazing. There's not too much to say about this because I've already talked Baldur's Gate 3 to death.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's just like, yeah, man, this is going to be the big like benchmark for RPGs, and it's just so weird, and it's such a power move that Larian Studios, the people who made Baldur's Gate 3, are like, yeah, we're not making a Baldur's Gate 4. Like, we're done. Like, we're making something completely new. And yeah, and then to note that this Baldur's Gate 3 was made, it was like, I think it was like 8 or 9 years in development. It was in early access for a long time as well. So this was a game that they were just slowly
Iterating.
building up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's cool. That's cool. The last little bit of noise. The last bit of news we got is for the quick hits. Number 8. Prince of Persia: Sands of Time's remake is reportedly being rebuilt from scratch. This comes to us from Game Rant by way of pre-rye. I hope that's right. So yeah, Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake faces restart with Ubisoft Montreal, starting from scratch with new realistic approach. The lead voice actor Yori Lowenthal won't reprise his role as Prince. Lowenthal?
Yeah.
Lowenthal. There you go. Leak footage shows missing textures in early development stage. Yeah. So essentially, a long time ago, when the stars were just twinkling in the sky, we saw a trailer for a Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake, and it was being remade by an Indian team. I don't remember their team. Some time passed after that. The team got the Prince of Persia game got removed from the team because no one liked how it looked, and then it went to another studio, and then it restarted there, and then it got to another studio. And I think this Ubisoft Montreal is the last studio that has gotten this property, and they're also restarting with a new realistic approach. I don't know. Thank you for saying that, Sean, because me personally, I was never a Prince of Persia fan. I played the games, they were fine, but it was never like, oh my God, this is a mind-blowing experience. I also don't think I really hear anyone really talk about Prince of Persia beyond The Lost Crown being like a really great game. But like before that, I was like, I don't.
Want to hear something funny?
Go ahead.
I have only played the original Prince of Persia game.
Like the first one? Okay. I mean, that's not bad. Like I played the first one.
What do you think the first one is?
Oh, you're talking about like Super
the
Nintendo.
Stick-figure fucking
on
the computer, yes. Yeah, the original
computer, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, that's way before me. The first one I played was on console. Sean was 6, like, oh, this sucks. I'm gonna go outside.
For sure.
Right. So yeah, like, yeah, all right. We'll see what happens. Again, this is Ubisoft, and Ubisoft has just had a track record of just dropping their properties down steps, picking them up, going back up the steps, and dropping their properties again on the same steps. Like, yeah. More Ubisoft news. Wonderful. Number 9, Ubisoft is deleting the crew from players' libraries, reminding us we own nothing. This comes to us from Engadget by way of Lawrence Bonk. So essentially, due to licensing agreements, I guess, going away.
Hey, real quick, I just want to roll that back. The original Prince of Persia came out in '89. I think I played it on DOS.
Oh, jeez. That's when gaming was good back in the DOS days. You know what I mean?
Shut up. Anyway, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, this really is kind of terrible news for people who really enjoyed the crew. Yeah. So, because of a license agreement, Ubisoft is going into people's libraries and just removing the game from being played.
We'll take that.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's terrible. Some users are liking this move to theft, which it kind of
It's
is.
not.
Then
No,
again,
it's not. No, it's not.
it depends on
Not.
their user agreements, right?
Yes. Nobody reads it. We were
Yep,
granted
yep,
a
you're
license
right.
to play it until we deemed otherwise.
And then like this is another thing of, you know, how does game preservation work in situations like this when you think you have the game, like you may have bought a copy of this game, and then it's just like you put the copy, you put the disc in the drive, and it's just like, nah, nah.
Everyone let's blame DJ for this because he's the one that championed digital games. This fucker wanted a digital PS5 when it came out, and I said, "You're making a mistake." You got me buying digital games now, DJ. I hate you.
I mean,
Inconvenience.
I can't confirm nor deny that this was my fault. Maybe. We'll see on the next episode of Press X Star Podcast. Okay, and the last thing, number 10,
One more thing.
report. Yeah. Oh. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay. I totally missed that on the next page. All right. Number 10. Report. Immortals of Avian makers furloughed majority of its studio. This comes to us from gamesindustry.biz by way of Jeffrey Rosenthal. I'm pretty sure I butchered that last name, and I apologize. I apologize, Jeffrey. So, Immortals of Avian makers Ascendant Studios have reportedly furloughed most of its staff, and that's about 30 people. It sucks. I think because I heard about this before, and it's like the furlough. It doesn't allow them to get their unemployment benefits or whatever because there's potential for them to come back to the job. So if that's the case, this is a shitty move by Ascendant Studios, and it's just terrible. And it's just another example of studios just not treating their workers properly. And yeah, it just sucks. Yeah, there's not too much to say about that because we don't know what
Probably sell
is.
some foot pics or something. Wait for their job to get back.
Amen. So sell them 3D feet.
Mm.
Yeah. So number 11, Sean, take it away.
Yeah. So I was talking to my good friend Dr. Mike Cap, former president of Epic Games.
Wow.
We having a conversation on Friday, and we got into the subject of microtransactions. And I just want to throw out these numbers for these, for our good listeners to let you know that microtransactions aren't going anywhere. First of all, they have a level of support about how much they give a shit about you when you call in to complain for help. If you spend under $100 on their game, you better go Google that shit because they may not answer your call. They have another tier of support for people who have spent under $10,000.
That's insane. You know what's insane about that? That the gap is $100, $10,000.
Under 10,000.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
And then you're getting first class tier 1 support if you've spent over $10,000 on their game.
That is crazy.
People are spending a third of some people's paycheck salaries in a year almost.
Bro.
On microtransactions on games. And he said the most spent on a certain game. He didn't name the game. The most spent on a single game in a week was $308,000 from one person. $308K.
That has to be like Elon Musk or something.
No, so believe it or not, we think of microtransactions and we really only think of the US. We're just the center of the world in people's minds.
You're right.
You
Yeah,
never
yeah.
you forget that these Middle Eastern princes aren't just buying Bugattis and Lamborghinis and paying women to do Middle Eastern things.
Where are we
They're
going?
spending
Where
money
are we
on
going?
hey, I had a they're spending money on video games too. So
I was in the passenger seat with my seatbelt buckled, man. I didn't know where we were going.
all interesting that he mentioned was somebody brought up the topic of money laundering through video games, and
Mm-hmm.
he's like,
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, there is no point. It's a very obtuse and hard method to move money through video games like that. I
Yeah.
mean, you have some games with like real money being involved, like Eve Online and Counter Strike and all that stuff. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you have
Mm-hmm.
marketplaces where people transfer items. But interestingly enough, people aren't trying to launder money. What they really want to do is steal your account because you may have some high dollar items.
Yep.
Um,
That makes the most sense.
but they know all of your habits, all of your spending habits online, and they know when people start doing certain things, they know that that's not you. It is in their best interest if you are one of those top tier people to get your account back so you can continue to spend money with them because if somebody steals your account, you're not gonna want to start all over and have to get all your shiny armors and all this shit again.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, congratulations, you're a shareholder.
Yeah,
Like-
they recover your shit quickly. Um,
we also killed that person. Don't worry. Like, oh wait, oh, wait. I just wanted my account back. What are you guys doing?
yeah, and I mean, he just discussed like where AI is going, and
Mm,
like we're gonna get to a point where it's funny how when AI came, everybody was like, everybody needs to get the IT and learn how to code. And at the rate that AI is going, and large language models, you can just what you really want to learn to become is a prompt engineer to because
yep.
you can ask AI to just spit you out a coding function,
Yep.
and it's gonna get to the point where you can ask AI to just spit you out a game in the flavor of whatever you want.
Yeah. Yeah. As long as you ask the right questions, you can get it to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, man.
So, that was my little tidbit that I heard from him.
Okay. Cool. 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 All right. Well, that's a good way to end this podcast. Normally we talk about the games we've been playing, but it's the same games that we were playing last week. So once we got some news to talk about, we'll throw it in here. But that's not this week. And this week is the end. No, wait. This is the end of this podcast. That was a bad. Anyways, this has been an episode of Press X Star Pod. Press X Star Gamers Digest. We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed making it. Do not forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below. Let us know your thoughts on AI and gaming and how much money you spend in Candy Crush. Oh man. And then once you do that, also don't forget if you are listening, you can't tell us about how much money you spend in Candy Crush. You can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, whatever thing you are using to listen to our beautiful voices. Leave us a review there. And then like let us know that you left a review there because I just might not see it and not know what you're telling
Let
other
us know if
people
you want to
about
see us
us.
streaming video games.
What? Dream in video games?
Streaming video games again.
Stream.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Let us
That
know if you
makes
want to
way
see
more
us
sense than
talking
what I
shit
heard.
because we are really unfiltered now. And hey, I see we got 214 subscribers now. I don't know when that happened.
Yeah, yeah. Shout out to you people, supporting us. We appreciate it.
What do you mean, you people?
Because every dang, you got me there. You got me there. All right. Yes, because every little bit helps, and we appreciate you helping us. So thanks for the help. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, you just keep playing games, you keep being good, you keep having a great time, having a great day, great night, depending on the time you're listening to this, because right now it's nighttime over here with us. Yeah, that's it. Bye.
Still tipping on fofos, wrapped in photos.
This. Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, so that's